Welcome to my channel. The slides that are rolling by are an indication of some of the things that I cover on a regular basis in my videos. Once you have watched the video, I would appreciate it if you would click the like button and leave a small comment. It's really a big help to the channel. The YouTube logarithm, when it sees that, promotes the channel more and will be more viewers. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you for watching. Well, hello everybody. Back in cooking mode here, and I'm doing another recipe from the Highlanders cookbook. It was gifted to me sometime just before Christmas, I think. What I'm going to be making is called Treacle Scones, or scones, whichever you prefer the pronunciation. Treacle, I just finished doing my research. Hopefully I won't get too many arguments out of my viewers here. But treacle is just another form of molasses. Molasses is the liquid byproduct of making white sugar. And it comes in various grades and darknesses and whatever. There is an absolutely blackstrap treacle and whatever. But what I'm using is just Crosby's molasses. A good Canadian product here. Seem to be in a molasses using spell here. I've made homemade baked beans using molasses, and I made molasses cookies recently, so carrying on with molasses scones. I'll bring you over and show you the ingredients in just a second, and no link down below because, as I said, it's coming out of this book. I will, however, put some notes down below with the ingredients, and, well, by watching the video you can see what I do, but it's nothing terribly complicated. Just hope it turns out half decent at least. So let's have a look at the ingredients. I forgot to mention, I hope you can read what's on the front of my new apron. It was a Christmas gift from my sister-in-law. I'll check the video before I upload, and if it wasn't readable I'll do another shot of me so that you can read it. It's quite comical. Now the ingredients, fairly straightforward here. 2 cups of sifted all-purpose flour. I guess you can see that. I have that here somewhere. 2 cups of sifted flour. 2½ teaspoons of baking powder. 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon each of ground ginger and cinnamon, 3 tablespoons of molasses, treacle if you prefer, the name that is, I guess it's actually the same product, 2/3 of a cup of buttermilk, and 1/3 of a cup of butter. Since there's already salt in the recipe, I'm using a unsalted butter. I'll cut that up just a little bit right now. And it's cold right out of the fridge. Anytime you use butter in a recipe, it should be very cold. I'll bring you back in just a second. First thing to do is to combine the dry ingredients. That's the baking powder, baking soda, salt, the ginger and cinnamon. I think I said that there's 2 cups of sifted flour. Usually when I use sifted flour I end up adding more flour before I'm finished, but we'll see what actually happens here. I'll start this with a pastry blender, but I suspect I'll finish using my fingers rubbing this in. And that was 1/3 of a cup of cold butter. The oven has been preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's 200 Celsius. I'm not quite 100% sure, but I think that's what that is. 200 Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit. You still want some pieces of butter. That's what's going to make them hopefully light and sort of flaky. Now add the 2/3 of a cup of, this is cultured buttermilk, and 3 teaspoons of treacle or molasses. And this is called Crosby's Fancy Molasses. I think that's one of the classifications, I guess. I've never quite understood what that's supposed to mean, other than I like it very much. I like anything that's got molasses in it. So, let's see what happens when we combine these. Julia Child would say, using your impeccably clean hands. Hands always work much better than a lot of other things do. I don't think I'm going to have to add any more flour. A little more flour will get incorporated when I turn it out to do the final kneading and cutting it, which I will do in just a few seconds here. The recipe calls for patting that out into a circle, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch thick, and then cutting it into 12 triangles and baking it that way. I've done that before with scones, but it's not my favorite thing to do, so I am going to cut them out with a biscuit cutter like I always do. So I'll bring you back in just a second or two when we're set up and ready to do that. Well, if you were going to do it the way that the recipe suggests, you would make this into a disc, roll it out a little thinner, and then just keep cutting it until you have, they say 12 pieces. I'm not going to do that, as I've already said. I'm just going to cut them with the biscuit cutter. And I always like mine, I don't know exactly what the thickness is, but a little thicker than they call for. So I have a tray here to put them on, lined with parchment paper. I'm just going to get a dozen out of it the other way. I don't know what I might get this way. I guess the advantage of doing it by cutting it into wedges is you don't have these scraps left over that you make the last funny little scone out of. I'll bring you back and show you the final product here, but I've got 8, I guess, there so far. So I'll combine this together and probably get at least a couple more. Well, I did get a dozen. The last few are thinner than the first ones. Now they go in a 400 degree oven, 400 Fahrenheit, 200 Celsius, and they said for 15 minutes, but that was for the wedges. I don't know if that make any difference or not, so I'm going to check mine after 10 minutes and I'll let you know how long I took all together. Bring you back when they come out of the oven. Well, I had a look at the first clip and you were not able to read my new apron. I hope you can now. May the fork be with you. a take on May the Force be with you, I guess. On the 4th of May, what is the saying they use on the 4th of May? May the 4th be with you. Anyway, I think it's really cute and I appreciate it. I like a good joke. Well, they don't look too bad. I went with, I don't know, about 11 minutes or so, I guess. I didn't want to burn them. They seem to be quite light and have risen a fair amount. The thicker ones rose a fair amount anyway. Now, make a cup of tea and I'll see you in the dining room. Well, they certainly smell good. Good one to try here with some butter. Still quite warm. It's hard to get butter with a hot knife. And a bit of apricot jam I thought I would go with. Not my own. Boughton apricot jam. So let's see what that tastes like. Very good. They're soft, still warm. I like the flavor of the 2 spices in there. And you can taste the marmalade really well too. They're a nice soft scone. I think I would probably make those again in the future. Quite easy to do. Mostly ingredients that people would have in their pantry anyway, I guess. Well, I did that second clip so that you could read my funny apron. I guess that will conclude this little video. I'll get it uploaded. Thank you very much for watching.